Sydney's marketplace on Pass Road in Gulfport. The honey guy from Orange Grove with stinger juice. Pat, what makes this honey so special?
Well, it's all natural. It's local honey. They get it from flowers in the local area. There's no chemicals used.
Looking for a little
Papa famous. I'm going to start straining some of my honey today from that latest cutout. And it's, ooh, look how deep. It's been running out of the comb. It's been sitting in this container for 5 days, maybe 6 days. Since we're not uncapping frames, I'm just going to set this up and start squeezing honey. I will be running this honey through a 5-gallon bucket paint filter, as well as this screen, this metal screen. That metal screen just basically keeps out your wax cappings, and it's for when you're actually uncapping with a knife or a capping scratcher or something. But a lot of this top comb has already pretty well drained on one side, and this stuff's hard, so it sure does work on your grip strength. And I did very carefully go through this as I put it in my container when I was doing my cutout. I don't want any beetles or bees or anything in my honey to get crushed in and have to try to filter out. So this is going to be nothing but pure wax and honey, and maybe a few cells with pollen. Other than that, it's solid honey. Most people ain't gonna want to squeeze like this after a few pieces of this old comb. They're gonna give up and try to find another way to do it, because I tell you what, this is a show enough forearm workout. Boy, right forearm's about done. I had to swap hands. Feel like I've been crushing pineapples with my bare hands. If you're into arm wrestling or anything like that, this is a super good workout. Well, that's the first bucket squeezed out. I'll let this sit for 24 hours or so and just drain through this bucket. Let all that wax drain off, and then I'll set it outside and let the bees work on it until they get what all they want off of it. And then I'll process the wax so that I can use it for something else. I'm past most of the dark comb now. I've already taken the clumps of wax outside and kind of crumbled them up and let the bees work on them. I'm down to the newer comb, which is much easier to squeeze. You can see how easy that just crumbles when you put a little pressure on it. The good news for me is it looks like the newer comb is about all I have left. I got this bucket, and I still got that other bucket left to go. This is the last thing I do with my wax before I melt it down. I just crumble it up where they can work on it, and they'll turn a lot of it totally dry. Here's kind of what you get when you melt this down. I'm at about 170 in a turkey roaster. This yellow just formed since I took the lid off. The lid was holding some heat in. When you start filtering all this down though, you get a bunch of trash that's just not wax that you have to scoop out and kind of drain the wax out of. That's pure wax dripping off the bottom of that. I'll scoop all the gunk out of it and come out with some, well, you can see it's beautiful clean yellow wax. That's what the whole block will look like when I'm done scooping the junk out of it. I just kind of shake the wax out of it until it's not dripping much anymore, and I make a little ball out of it. There it is, ready to throw away or give to the chickens or whatever I want to do with it. and so on and so on. And that's just how I do it. There's lots of other methods, and what I'll do with this wax, we usually use it for building hives, but I got a bunch of trash wax to melt here, and Pop Shack on YouTube actually put out his recipe for some lotion, some hand lotion, and I ordered some shea butter to try out his recipe there. I'll link his website below. But this stuff will take a little while. I just let it sit there and melt, and then, you know, just continue trash scooping. You get a whole lot of trash out of this wax. And I'll clean it again before I mix up my little batch of lotion. This old turkey baster kind of stays in the shop and probably had never been cleaned out before, so there's no telling how much cleaner to get once I process it one more time. But in the end, it all just comes out clean yellow. This is what's running out of the trash pile here. There's a good example of some of the trash I'll be scooping. Ants, pollen, and mold. Mostly pollen. And casings from any hatched out cells. Alright, I'm done straining the honey now. I'm just going to pour it up into this 5 US gallon bucket that you can tell is not a food grade bucket. I don't really care. It's a brand new bucket. I wiped it clean. This is not a leftover from buying paint products. It's a new bucket. So I don't care that it's not food grade. I'm not cooking in it. I'm not pouring anything hot. I'm not storing it long term in this, but I'm out of jars. I don't have enough jars to pour all this up into. So I weighed the bucket ahead of time. It weighs 1.8 pounds. I'm going to pour the honey in and weigh it. And honey weighs approximately 12.5 pounds per gallon. Keeping in mind that I did give away approximately a gallon to begin with, I'll know about how much honey was in that hive. Now this Captain's tank didn't catch all the wax and impurities, so I'll be filtering it one more time through these paint filters. This is this is a bucket liner filter, and then you can tell it's brand new stuff. The first time it didn't catch all the stuff, and this is not microfiltering by any means. These filters are not very fine at all, but they catch the majority of everything I want to catch without filtering out the pollen and the important stuff. So for anyone who doesn't like how I'm filtering because it's not a food grade bucket or whatever, I do want to say that some of the people that participate in my channel do sell some of their honey products, but this is my personal stock. This goes into making mead or storing for me for long term or whatever. So this will never be sold. If you don't like the way I'm doing this, then and you're a consumer of any of our affiliates products, don't worry about it. You're getting stuff that's done in food grade buckets and probably a little more meticulous process. So here I go with my stuff, my honey. I don't know if this I hope so. I don't know if this 5 gallon bucket's going to be deep enough to hold all this. That's a pretty decent honey gate for as cheap as it looks. I'm not even having to tighten it down. It's pretty well shutting it off. It's dripping just a little bit. And if I tighten it down, it totally stops. There you go. Cool. So I've been doing this process for almost a week now, just letting it sit in a climate controlled environment, letting it dry a little, because some of what I got was uncapped, and you don't want your moisture level in your honey above 16 or 17% or so. This takes a little while to drain since I'm running it through 3 filters. You know, I guess that does do a pretty fine job of filtering, but I'm running through 3 filters and I got a lot of honey to do, so I imagine this is probably going to take me several hours to run through there, because I just have to do a little bit at a time, let it sit and drip, and do some more. So while that's doing that, we'll go out to the garage and take a look at how much wax I got. Oh man, somebody has been screwing with my experiment. Crap. Well, I know about how much wax I had. Somebody has remelted everything and turned the warmer off. So let me see how much is in here. That's about the same amount I had before. I guess they just stuck it back in and remelted it. Whoever did it. Oh, that's hot. Oh. Alright, so there's how much wax I got. Good grief, that's hot. And I will scrape this layer of crud off the bottom of it and run it again with clean water before I use it for what I intend to use it for. So here's what I'm doing with it. I bought 2 pounds of raw shea butter. I bought it from Amazon, and it's unrefined shea butter, and I'm using this for my hand lotion recipe. If I can open it. This is how it comes in a Ziploc bag. Doesn't smell bad. I read some of the reviews, and they said some of the reviews said when they get their shea butter it smelled bad, and I can see that some of the top there might be a little different color. I don't know if it's just, I've never ordered shea butter before, so I don't know if it should have a variation in the color like that or not. So, but it doesn't smell bad at all, and it's kind of a little mushy. So this is what I wanted. So I'm using shea butter, the beeswax, and a couple other ingredients that you can see on Pop Shack's site, and I'm going to try to make me a little hand lotion mix, see how that works. So back to the house to see what the honey weighs. I almost forgot to show all the trash I scooped out of the wax, and you can see I could probably run this again and get a decent amount more wax out of it, but I don't know if it's worth the trouble. So all this came out of that same hive, and I also have some more wax around here to left to process inside of that same hive. I almost forgot about this. I set it out here day before yesterday, and the ants are enjoying it more than the bees. Everything's in bloom right now, so the bees are not really after secondhand goods. Full up. There's still another quart or so in there. Let's go weigh it up. $62.6 pounds, that is.